Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Anybody know the band? The OJs. Nobody knew it. All right. Moving
They fell
on.
out of
Nobody got bonus
popularity.
point. Huh?
They fell out of popularity after that famous trial in LA.
Uh-huh. All right, moving on. So today is a holiday if you're not aware. It is President's Day and your banks are closed. So I guess the mail's not coming and my trash is not being picked up, but nonetheless, we in real estate just keep on trucking, right? So if you have a closing today, it might not fund, but outside of that, it seems to be a normal day. Jason, what you say?
Happy Monday. A week
Happy.
from now, we're going to be hosting a whole bunch of folks from around the world.
There's about 12,000 people coming to Atlanta for family reunion starting Friday.
Can't
Uh,
wait to see what Marta looks like on Friday.
all right. Uh, I want to start with something a little different. So this is homes sold in the year 2022. And what I want you to pay attention to is kind of the bell curve. So we start January a little slow, and then February picks up, and then there was a peak in March. So it's hard to tell on here, but March was 89.17, May was a little bit less, and June was a little bit more. But March was kind of the peak month in the year 2022. And there was a fundamental thing that happened in late June in 2022, which are mortgage rates went up. And you can see the tapering down in 2022. So then when we got to 2023, we started January, went up in February, went up in March. March was a big month, and then softened in April, and then went up for May, June, and May was the largest month of the year in 2023. And then we tapered down through the end of the year. In 24, we were on a big incline all the way up to May. And then we danced a little bit through the end of the year. And then last year, we were on a big incline to May, stayed pretty strong in June, and then we kind of held solid through the end of the year with the exception of November. So that's the bell curve, right? Well, I'm going to throw January 26 up here. We actually came in behind January 2025, which I'm kind of disappointed at, to be honest, because it felt like January was going to be a bigger month than the year before. However, 0.8%, not nothing crazy, right? But it certainly was behind January 2025. Yet February, I believe, will come in as strong as last year, if not stronger. And I constantly think about this, Jason, like real estate's on a 30 to 45 day sales cycle. So if you think about the showings that are happening on listings right now, the people walking into the open houses ready to buy right now, the people getting into agents' cars right now, the phone calls you're receiving right now, we know March is typically one of the biggest months in real estate. All those people are going to be closing in March. All the properties going under contract right now are going to close in March. And if of the last 4 or 5 years, March was probably one of the biggest months out of the year. So I guess my open-ended question is, are you feeling that momentum right now? Are you feeling the closings? Are you feeling the showings, the open houses, the phone calls, the people ready to buy? What are you
Yeah,
feeling in the marketplace? Talk to me.
I am definitely feeling that. I also think like we had this really interesting bump. I always say that spring market in Atlanta starts the first Saturday that's sunny and 60. And we didn't know that that was going to be the first weekend of January this year because we had a lot of activity that first week. Then all of a sudden, ice storm for 3 weeks in a row kind of derailed things. But then everybody came and thawed out and they're active. I mean, my phone's been very busy Friday, Saturday, Sunday this past weekend and the weekend before. So I feel very good about what the rest of February looks like, March, and going into April.
I agree. And then I look at this and go, man, we had the slowest January closings in on the of the 5 years on the chart. And I remember how flat everybody was talking about the activity was in December, but how positive everybody was talking about the activity in January. So I'll be really interested to see where February comes in.
Well, and for my office, I'm just going to speak for me. I know for a fact we had a bunch of closings that were slotted for January that, for whatever reason, got pushed into February.
Well, that's when all the weather hit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, let's look at the numbers. So let me get Fulton County up here. All right. So we had 519 active status changes in Fulton County last 7 days. 123 went under contract. So we've had 3 big weeks of properties going under contract. There's 251 pending, which is the largest number we've seen year to date. And there were 137 that closed out in the last 7 days. What do you make of those numbers?
I was a little surprised, honestly, in the dip of actives um, for Fulton County. I know that DeKalb County had an increase when I was looking at the numbers, and I expected just from the activity, the buzz that I've been hearing, I expected an increase in um, actives for Fulton County as well. But I went when I saw this stat, I went and pulled like our three main zip codes around Midtown, and inventory or active new listings was down in all three of the main zip codes around us. So
Yeah.
I found that that was interesting um, for Fulton County.
Yeah. Well, if we look at DeKalb, they had 300, which was a strong number for
Right.
DeKalb. 88, which is a very strong number of properties going under contract. And then 160 pending, largest year to date. And they had 89 closings. So middle of February, there's always a little stall in the beginning of February, like that middle of February, right?
Mhm.
But big numbers the weeks before, right? So you can never just get emotional about 1 week. Um, but we're kind of in this mid-February stall. It looks like Cobb County had 303 active status changes, but they had a big number the week before, 89. So I'm sorry, Cobb is really pushing good under contract numbers, 89, 89. I love it when it's over 100, but for February, mid-February, this is a solid number. They're at 178 pending, largest number year to date, and they had 119 close out in the last 7 days. So that's still pretty solid numbers for Cobb County. Fulton County was the one that just kind of caught me a little off guard. It felt like it just stalled out this week.
Same.
Same.
Yep.
So, what are you feeling in the marketplace? Talk to us.
What's going on in the streets?
Not everybody wants.
Well, I
All
mean,
right.
I feel like the market is definitely moving, and I think there are buyers and sellers. I do think that we are definitely living into this K-shaped economy reality. For instance, I had an open house last weekend. 2.7 million, 14 people came out. I had another
Great.
open house for 400,000, 2 people came out. And so the people who should be buying the affordable price points, they're a little bit slower to pull the trigger, or they may not even have a trigger to pull if they're in a financial situation or job situation that may not be working out. And so, I think that reality, that logic of the K-shaped economy is truly playing itself out.
I agree, Hubert. Um, well, this is interesting. So I pulled Mortgage News Daily 6.04, which is incredible, right? But I started playing with this little graph down here. And if we're at 6.04 on the average mortgage rate in the US right now, and I started going back, and there was a moment in time that was September 9th, 2024, where the rates had kind of dipped down for a hot minute and they got down to 6.17. And we're lower than that today.
Mhm.
And then I went further back, and there was a moment in time right here where they were 6.12 on January 16th, 2023, and we're lower than that today. And I go all the way back to August of 22 was the last time that the mortgage rate was lower than what it is today. So if you do quick math or logical thinking, that's 3.5 years. So today's mortgage rate is the lowest it's been in 3.5 years. I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. 3.5 years, we've had rates higher than what showed up this morning on Friday's close. Is that a social media story? Is that motivation for buyers? I don't think buyers have heard that story yet. How many people sat on the fence over the last 3.5 years waiting on a mortgage rate?
Well, that's what I was about to say is where you have the graph right there. Everybody was like, whoa, stop. I'm just going to wait until we're back in the threes. And, now we see over the last 3 years that didn't happen and it's not gonna. And they're finally starting to just recognize it that this is what it is. The stability is really helping us with that because they're not seeing the volatility and they don't have to worry about is it going to be substantially higher next week or lower next week.
Yeah. And I'll remind you, like this is what this is the averaged rate in the country. So you realize half of them are below this and half of them are above this.
Yep.
So I guarantee you some people are getting fives. Does anybody have anybody on here that's got locked with a five? Hubert, you raise your hand. Are y'all participating or hanging out? All right. Denise did. Okay, good. Thanks, Denise. I would venture to say there's people getting locked in the high fives with good credit, whatever all the criteria is. But anyway, I think this is a story in the marketplace right now that rates dipped at the end of last week to the lowest they've been in 3.5 years. You should be using that story. All right, I'm going to move on, Jason, unless you got some other brilliant thing to say.
Nope. We got a lot to cover. We got
All right.
16 minutes to do it.
All right. So this article really, really, really made me think. It said, is real estate actually a service business? The answer might be costing you listings. So let me unpack this article real quick. So if you walk into any sales meeting in America and ask, is real estate a product business or a service business? You'll get the same answer every time. It's a service business. And agents are trained to say this. It feels noble, it feels safe. It separates us from the sleazy, salesy stereotype of the past. But there's a massive flaw in this mindset, and it's costing agents money. And when you get down here, it's talking about the great divide between attraction and retention. The product marketing attracts. Product marketing is about the thing. It's the tangible, it's the objective. The goal is to create desire. The mechanic is what are the features, specification, price, aesthetic appeal. The psychology is I want that object because it solves a problem or elevates my status. Where service marketing is the goal is to build trust. The service marketing is about the provider. That's you. The mechanic, responsiveness, expertise, problem solving, empathy. The psychology is I trust this person to guide me safely through the fire. Now, the mistake is marketing service when you should be selling product. However, I'm going to jump down to the bottom of this for a second. It says the bottom line of this article is real estate a service business? Yes. Is real estate a product business? Yes. If you focus only on service, you're a wonderful friend with no inventory. If you focus only on product, you're a commodity with no loyalty. So the magic is being in the middle of this. So I started thinking about this, Jason. I want to talk about it for a sec. So if you back up 10 years pre-social media, and I took a listing as a real estate agent, I would put together an absolutely beautiful flyer marketing the product. I would talk about how the features of the house. I would talk about, I would really, really, really highlight that listing as a product. Fast forward to today, social media makes us a little confused about this because I do see some real estate agents highlighting listings and the features of the listings and the lifestyle of the listings and really going all in on product posting. But I also see some agents going all in on service posting and talking about what the experience of working with them is. And the question is, how do you find that magic middle where what is the message you're doing from a marketing perspective? Because if I took a beautiful listing today and I put that listing out on social media, is the focus on the listing or the focus on the service of working with me? Or do I have a confusion around how I market myself? What do you think?
So when I read this, I agree with you. This one out of all the ones you sent, this one's the one that made me stop and think for a minute. You know, when the NAR lawsuits came out, we spent a lot of time as a company talking about the value proposition and what is it to work with me. And I think that pendulum may have swung a little bit too far where we're not talking about features and benefits of the houses that we have anymore, as we're talking about why me, why work with me versus someone else. And when I have a new agent ask me, how did you sell? I tell them, in 25 plus years of being in sales, I don't know if I've ever sold anything. I think I solved problems. And that's what really made this resonate with me is the consultation, whether it's a listing consultation or a buyer consultation, is all about what problem are you solving? And I think you need to highlight that in the service piece. But then when you have that listing, it's like, hey, are you sick and tired of being on top of your people? Get this bigger house. Like, really, I love the way that this calls it out. We're not talking about why this house over this house as much as we're talking about why this agent over this agent.
Yeah, I think that what I would take away from this article is um, you should be doing product marketing with your listings. And you should have the best looking product marketing going on social media, or even if you're doing flyers or marketing material, it should be about the product. And you shouldn't be only product and not talk about your service at the same time. You should have a blend of the two because I guarantee you the customer looks at the way you present a listing and goes, I want them to do my house. But at the same time, they want to feel authenticity and know what your service is like too. And I think the mistake is being all one or the other. The magic is being both. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. What was your favorite Super Bowl ad?
Uh, I don't really remember that many of them because they were just kind of generic to me.
Anybody have a favorite Super Bowl ad besides Jason's generic?
The Dr. Pepper commercial with the girl who won the competition.
Yeah.
And it actually made it to the Super Bowl ad. That was a really good one.
Grubhub, we eat the fees, Sarah said. All right. I keep hearing this Budweiser commercial with and the tight end. Okay. All right. So this guy is Robert said this is the farthest I made in the Super Bowl for watching something else. All right, there you go. Well, here's like inferences from the Super Bowl. So there's five things. It says innovation works best when it feels familiar. Would you be surprised that 23% of the commercials were about AI?
I thought that percentage was low, actually.
I don't know what I feel if it was low or high, but it made me think. So like if we believe the best marketing minds are involved in the Super Bowl commercials, because that's the money moment, right? And 23% of the commercials were talking about AI. It made me think, Jason, like, are we talking in social media or in email newsletters about how AI is enhancing our business with buyers and sellers? I don't see it yet, but what maybe we should be talking about how AI, how we're using AI with our sellers, how we're using AI with helping our buyers. Has it come into marketing messages yet in real estate? I think AI is a buzzword. And have you actually embraced that you use AI in your business? And has it made it into a marketing message around what you're doing with AI to enhance the experience with buyers and sellers? Maybe it becomes part of your messaging. That was what I thought of. Then it said design technology to support the human experience. We're in a climate where the consumer cares about experience. So you should take note in that. Like, what is the experience of living in this listing? What is the experience of working with you? What is the technology that supports that experience? Marry familiarity with new features and amenities. Um, are you promoting listings with 90s like open floor plans, original hardwood flooring, built-ins, or other pieces of timeless craftsmanship? Each of these amenities represents an easy opportunity for you to leverage a classic symbol of the comfort of home while blending it with more modern home features like home offices, spas, and gyms. I think we try to minimize some of the older features when what they're saying is the familiarity of the comfort of home actually is important. Dunkin' Donuts used faces of the 90s to push their new marketing campaign. Um, Find the balance between emotion and utilities and understand the attention economy. You know, I started thinking about like, let's say, Hubert, you're on my screen, so I'll use you. Like your listings have a view count and a save count on Zillow, on realtor.com, on homes.com. The attention economy matters. And is that a part of your messaging, right? Like, could you say, my last 10 listings outperformed the view count on Zillow compared to other listings? Or could you say, I tend to get a higher save count on my listings because I do these things with professional photography or those kinds of things. The attention economy is a thing. Anyway, I thought it was a fun little article. All right, moving on.
Wait, can we
Go.
go back for one thing? So scroll back up to the AI piece because this article came out before Amazon actually terminated their agreements, which they promoted in the Ring doorbell video or commercial because of they went all in like we're gonna help people find their missing pet. Everybody else interpreted it as you're infringing on my privacy, and they announced this morning that they were canceling the this whole thing that the commercial was about, and they pulled the commercial.
Oh, wow. Well, not all technology and innovation turns out good, right?
Yeah, so I think there's a really fine line when we're talking about AI because there's a lot of people that are afraid of it and rightfully so. And then there are people that just don't understand it. So make sure if you're out there promoting how you use AI that you're showing the good, not the sketch, I guess. I don't know.
All right. Let me hit a couple articles real quick. I've got a couple big things I want to show you. So the affordability has improved. Now, I want to remind you, this is not luxury. This is the relationship between median income and median price house. So income's gone up, prices have stayed flat, interest rates have gone down. All that formula is doing is improving affordability big time. So affordability has improved in 37 of the 50 most populous metros in the US. So that's a good thing to talk about. Affordability is getting better. It doesn't specifically quote Atlanta, but I know for a fact affordability has gotten better in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's important to know. The next article I want to pull up a graph, but it says housing demand has snapped back, meaning we are increasing in housing demand as these mortgage rates are getting close to 6%. But there's a graph here that shows weekly pending sales. And can you see the peach line on here, the one right here on the left? It's the 2026 pending home sales line. So what you see on this line is the pending home sales for 2026 has been greater than the past 4 years, all the way up till just recently. And then it took a little dip and then it came back up. So we had a little stall in February. It could be the weather, it could just be cyclical. But where we sit today is not the highest it's been in the past 4 years. The red line is 2022. And I remind you, that was when before rates changed. So the pending home sales were higher in 2022, but the rates were lower at the beginning of the year than they are today.
Mhm.
So as this year goes, my suspicion is we will be, if I looked at this graph a couple months from now, we will have higher pending home sales than any of the previous 3 or 4 years, which just goes to show that 2026 is going to be a much greater year than we've experienced in the years previous. Make sense? All right. I'm going to hit this one. So, Jason, 30% of the home purchases in 2025 went to investors. I want to talk about this for a second. That's almost a third of the market went to investor sales. So, as a real estate agent, do you actually have a strategy around this? Like, have you educated yourself to have an intelligent conversation to give advice and opinions to somebody looking at investing in real estate? It's a chunk of the market, a third.
Mhm.
That's one thing. Then I got it down here to this graph. And small investors are considered somebody that owns between 1 and 10 properties. Medium investors are between 10 and 100. Large investors are 100 to 1,000, and mega investors are over 1,000 doors. So you start to look at this, and this breaks down that 30%. So the top line, the purple line or the dark purple, is small investors, somebody that owns between 1 and 10. They come in at 14% of the transactions are going to small investors. Median investors are 10 to 100. They come in at 11%. And then what I would consider to be the big box investors, both the large and megas are right around 3%. So if you add them together, that's 6%. So the big box investors are buying 6%. The medium investors between 10 and 100 are buying 11%. And the small investors are buying 14% of the market. What's your aha?
The first aha is this is the second year in a row that it's been 30%. So if you don't have a strategy around this, you better get one quick because it doesn't look like it's going to be going away. There is a lot of legislative talk around the mega and the large. But right now, this graph shows us who we should be focusing on are the small and the medium to begin with.
Period. And they're more reachable. That's the good news.
100%.
Yeah. So there's two other articles on the Atlanta Business Chronicle. I'll let you read those. We post them in Circle. But it is President's Day, yet I don't consider it a holiday. I don't think you do as well. So let's go, guys. Any questions, thoughts, comments before we call it? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Thanks, Brad.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Brett.